On our panelists today, we have Mike Mushi. Mike Mushi, for those who know Jamii Forum, is the founder of Jamii Forum. But he is an experienced digitalist. He has been working in the digital area for a very long time, and has worked with some of the influencers, either professionally or even as friends, advising them on how they can navigate the waters of influencer marketing. And then to his left is an influencer by the name of Count Nikki. And then to the extreme left is a dear client, the group marketing manager for the Toyota Group. Ladies and gents, is it gent and ladies? Ladies and gent, karibuni sana. Oh, one other person that I forgot to include is Ricky Bosche, who is joining us virtually from Germany. Ricky has worked extensively in the agency world here in Tanzania, and is a data analyst. So we're excited to hear from his perspective, from his time here in Tanzania, and the insights from Germany. All right. I'd like to start with Mike. Yeah. You have been in the digital space for some time, and you have seen the evolvement of the influencer marketing scene in Tanzania. Can you tell us a little bit of how much evolved you think it has, and where you think you have come from and where we are currently?
Interesting. So, I think it started as a very niche market, niche profession, with very few people who know each other, who then, so treat it to just do it. To a point where, yes, we have grown up some few big names, to now that is very saturated with people with many followers being regarded as influencers. Into the current where I see it's more political, more activist than corporate. And I think at some point, if you're going online today, you're bombarded with a lot of political messaging, and then you're bombarded with messaging that's around retail or corporate. So my worry is, as days goes by, I think online media is regarded as a political tool rather than it's regarded as a tool where people can actually do business. So I'll just sum that up.
All right, and then my second question or follow-up would be, do you think that then influencers had influence in terms of being able to influence people to be able to do such a thing? Or do you feel like right now is when people have influence? Or is it vice versa?
So I think we have very few people who have kept to their authentic self, that are able to turn what they've been talking to into actual business. And we have a lot more who just jump on to the next page. So since we don't see a lot of influencing work having a repetition, I think most of it does not actually work. Because then if it does, we will see more long-term contracts, long-term collaborations. So there's very few that actually work, but a lot of it doesn't work, so it does not repeat. And also, my next worry is that people then make decisions where who are the influencers, who does what, don't really understand the whole idea of influence marketing. So then they end up making wrong mistakes, which then management says, it's not working, let's stop it. So my problem is that everybody has tried, most of them have tried, most of them haven't seen results, so they've stopped. So that's my word. So there are very few who have then turned that career into a business. But majority of them, I'd say, industry.
Okay, thank you. Nicole, Nikki, you being an influencer, what's your take? How do you think the influencer market in Tanzania has evolved?
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting question. I would say that at the moment we're still trying to make it grow because, like my fellow here said, not many people take it serious as a career or as a thing. Like, you find that brands mostly use celebrities to, like, maybe make content for them or spread something, be it business, service, whatsoever. So you find that most influencers don't get inspired to try and influence people. It's only recent that I see a few brands are trying, like the recent Flying Fish marketing strategy. That was really good because they used micro-influencers to, like, spread their brand. And it worked out because I, as one of the people that was used, I got to reach a big number of people who were, like, shocked to the fact that, wow, they actually used you micro-influencers to, like, spread the word. Because mostly you find that they maybe take a celebrity who's already big and known, and that celebrity would not know how to, like, brand the product. They'll just use their name as, like, I'm, let's say, Diamond Platinum's. People are just gonna look at what I post. You get, but they won't try so hard to make content. They won't get really creative with the content compared to, like, an influencer who would actually be working on the content. Okay.
Yes, amazing. Two things that I caught there is macro and micro. Having an influencer with a lot of followers doesn't necessarily ensure the effectiveness of your campaign. And then the second thing is that the believability of the influencer that you're going to use. If you're going to use whoever you're going to use, are people going to believe that this particular person actually uses the product? All right, now to the client. Tell us, how have you seen, because knowing your experience, you've worked both in the agency world, you've worked in the client side, I'm curious to get your take on the evolution and the growth of influencer marketing in Tanzania.
Okay, from my point of view, influencer marketing in the past was strictly used by celebrities, your singers, your actors, your comedians, all your famous people. And with that, you would get the reach that you want, you would get the following base that you want, but is it impactful? Would you get the engagement that you require? It's only now that we're getting more micro-influencers, and they themselves are content creators. They create content that is more impactful. They create content that is inspiring and make it an experience, yeah? As opposed to using your celebrities, it's more of a repost, or you literally give them the caption, and they will publish it, even if the caption included a date and time. They will not even cross-check. As opposed to using your micro-influencers, they put their own personality into delivering this experience. And yeah, I think with micro-influencers, you also get more engagement, as opposed to just your reach and your following base. So I think it is evolving in the direction that is required because, again, from a client's perspective, nobody is looking at your influencers, sorry, your following base, especially if it does not correlate with your engagements.
Amazing. Ricky. Is Ricky with us?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Happy that you've joined us. My question to you would be, having worked in the agency, I think 6-7 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, when influencer marketing was just in the start, where do you see, and being the president of Twitter, where do you see, where do you see, how do you see the growth of influencer marketing? How do you compare it? How do you compare it with Germany, where you are currently?
Certainly, there's been growth in terms of the number of influencers that I've seen on platforms like Twitter, in terms of where I wouldn't say the quality has changed or has improved suddenly. We've had more micro influencers. The problem is most of them either still receive generic messaging from the client side, and they communicate it, and now you have some micro influencers that sound more and more like brands instead of themselves on what was attractive about themselves initially. And then you have these other micro influencers whereby they have a large following because of the content, but they basically, when you go to the timelines for the whole day, they are pushing 6, 7, 5 different brands from all over the space. It's from politics to alcohol to sanitary pads to anything, and it just becomes jumbled up into anything is lost. And one thing that I've noticed, like the difference between Tanzania and Germany, I've been sort of lucky to, right now I'm working in the B2B space, and we define influencers differently. When we engage, for example, for cloud marketing and we want to sell our cloud products to businesses, the way we define influencers is a bit different, and no campaign launches before I think 3 or 4 key things are figured out. First of all is what is the result of the end product that we want to reach, how do we define it from a marketing perspective and from a sales perspective. And then the key thing that we do and this we're working right now is the whole attribution logic. And attribution logic is that, yes, an influencer might tweet about, I don't know, Coca-Cola on the Twitter feed, but until a person sees that tweet and then decides to buy Coca-Cola, what steps do they go to? So, and then we attach the value, I'd say, on numbers or rankings to each spot. So, for example, in the B2B space, we rank influencers very highly as compared to the B2C, because in the B2C, when once you see an influencer posting something on Instagram or Twitter, it takes more steps until you actually either consume that product or you buy that product as compared to B2B. But that has really changed with TikTok, and we're seeing a really big difference with TikTok as compared to Twitter or Facebook. Because we've engaged with TikTok before in some campaigns that we've done, and we've seen that the TikTok content creation is really different from Twitter, where you just post a 140 to 80 word tweet. In TikTok, someone creates a trend or a challenge. For example, the ring light challenge, where people go out the ring light behind them. And then what you will see is that the number of people buying that ring, that light ring, really peaks or spikes up after that challenge. It really goes, a person just really clicks, because TikTok has enabled direct links to traders like Amazon or Kaufland, which is from Germany, where if you're seeing a trend and you want to buy something that's just in the trend, because I bought an air fryer just for the sleep, making really good stuff on TikTok. So you could just pick a link and text it directly to clips to buy whatever you're seeing on that trend and you want to participate in that trend. So I say micro-influencing has changed, I would say, in most parts of the world, especially the change of platforms and stuff, but I think as an small, it has grown, but it has grown laterally. More influencers, same content, and nothing much has changed.
Okay, amazing. Okay. The other question would be, this would be to Mike. Does the social platform really matter? If we're talking about influencer marketing, what does this apply? Does this influencer marketing apply to all social platforms? And is there any specific that is doing quite well in Tanzania? Should a client focus on a specific platform?
I think more tests have to be done to identify what exactly works well in an offer context with influencer marketing. And sadly enough, I don't think, even the tests that I've done, I don't think it's shared across. So we keep on doing, the plans keep on doing the same mistakes over and over again. So I don't think there's a good cocktail like industry X, accommodate X, Y, Z, you will get Y. So I'll give you an example. Let's say in gaming, how is influencer marketing linked? We know already gaming is technology. So are we having influencers then influencing that industry and saying, okay, if I need to increase my retention rate, maybe I will use influencer X, Y, Z to perform in that specific task. So I think there's a lot of data to be collected, to be analyzed, to then give an opinion that, okay, in this industry, I think this is what we're supposed to do. But I think there are kind of other things that I think Rick has mentioned in terms of how influencers then influence people to actually buy something and to have that proof that this has been caused by this influencer. I think, yes, these are things that I myself have not tried it yet, but we need to see who was actually contextualized and tried.
Okay. Nikki, I'm curious. How as an influencer, how do you create your price list? In my experience, while trying to get influencers, each one will come with their own price, 50 million, 30 million, 20 million. So how do you come up with your price list, and how does it make sense to the client?
Okay, for me, it depends on the kind of content that's required by the client. You get, like, what materials am I supposed to be using? How much time will I be investing in this? You get, like, that's the type of things that I have to consider before I hand you the price. Like, you can't just come to me and tell me, maybe I'm gonna give you maybe 50,000, and I want you to like post content where you go to like 5 different restaurants and you're gonna be drinking my product. Now, to go to all these 5 locations, it requires me maybe to Uber or to drive my own car, and that's petrol there. And then if I get there, I can't just sit there and like use your product. I have to ask them like, how much are they gonna charge me to market your product there? Because some places don't let you do that. Like, they'll tell you, if you want to take pictures or videos or whatsoever, if you're trying to make content, we're going to charge you so and so. So I will first want to hear from the client, what does he or she require from me, and I'll make my research with the places that I need to make content from. And from that, I can now give you like a figure, like this much is going to cost you for this much content.
Awesome. So you start with the scope of work.
Yes.
Yeah. Once the client or the agency has handed you the scope of work, and then you're able to really articulate what exactly you're going to do, then you're able to do a price list for them. All right, fantastic. Now, being the client, how do you select the talent? You have influencers. Maybe you have a particular influencer who is strong on Instagram. You have another influencer that's strong on Twitter. You have another influencer maybe that is strong on Facebook. How do you select the influencer and which route you take?
I think it goes back to the corporate objectives and their goals. What are they trying to reach from this? Is it, again, following? Is it lead generation? And how to get there? Luckily, I work for a group of companies which has different brands under it and different target audience. So one day we could be looking for an influencer on TikTok, the next you're looking for an influencer on Facebook for a much older clientele. So yeah, it goes back to the target audience and what the objectives are. Okay.
All right, so it goes back to, it always starts with objectives. Why are you really wanting to do this, influencer marketing initiative that you're doing? And from there, you're able to know whether it will make sense on Twitter, on Facebook, or whatnot. Ricky. All right, it seems like Ricky dropped off. Mike,
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you?
No, I was going to say, the one thing is I don't say Ricky and I say Nikki. Sort of sounds the same and it's confusing, but I
All right, my bad. So I wanted to ask you, from your perspective, which platform do you think is doing well in terms of social in Tanzania? And how is that compared to the platforms in Germany? Maybe what are some of the reasons why one particular platform is doing particularly well here and different from where you are right now?
I think when it comes to platforms, it's based on demographics, and this is really key on the age groups. And right now we're seeing from the workspace to the social media space, we are seeing a battle for generations, meaning the Gen Zs that are taking over, the millennials that are moving away, and then whatever comes the Gen Zs that are going to this social space. So it really depends on who are you trying to target this content for. If you're looking for the next stage in France, for example, this is something that's been happening in Europe, I would say, because there's a problem with, for example, the Premier League has way more fans and it's making way much money compared to other leagues in the world. So they realized that they cannot capture the current demographic, meaning the millennials, boomers, some of the Gen Z. So they are looking at the next generation of either customers or consumers. If you're looking for the next generation of consumers, you're obviously not going to end up on Meta or Facebook, right? You might end up on Facebook, but you're always going to focus your key money or budget or objectives on TikTok. So it really depends on the generation you're trying to engage and what are the key goals of the campaign. So for Tanzania right now, I'd say Twitter has really grown. I still remember, I've worked with Mike Bush before, and I still remember when we were talking about Twitter back in the day, the numbers were really low. Whenever we tried to get the numbers for the reach and stuff like that, the numbers were really low. But from now, the recent years, I see that the numbers have gone up. I think it's because how fast they upload reviews and up-to-date stats. So I think it's really fast and it's growing really well. I don't know about TikTok, but I've seen some trends that are going more in the space. More content creators are getting on it. I still believe in videos, and that's, I think, why TikTok has done really well. So it really depends, I'll say, at the end of when it really depends which generation you're trying to target and what is the outcome of the campaign.
All right. Amazing. So for this particular session, we are fortunate to have an influencer among us, Bliss. He's an influencer on social media, specifically Twitter. I personally follow him. And we were just talking about it before this particular show. Before this particular event. He used to do food reviews and very good food reviews, and we were seeing a lot of brands going to him. So for the benefit of other influencers, please, I would like to understand how did you get to that space that you are in right now? Because it's very niche. No one is doing reviews of food joints. No one is recommending. And the way you do it is also very engaging. In most cases, what I usually see after you've posted a place, people will then go there and say, please actually recommended me. And we see a lot of that. We are curious to know how that journey has been for you.
Hey everyone. Well, for me, it's simple. I love eating. That's all. So, and most people love eating, but they don't know where to eat. They don't know places. So for me, I just look for places on Instagram during weekends. So I just find just a cool place, and I try something new. That's all. That's why. Yeah.
All right. So I think my takeaway for me here is, as an influencer, do something that you're passionate about. He's passionate about food. Yeah. I would like among the invitees, we have someone from Kenya, Alex Tutu, and I would like to get his take as well. Kenya being our neighbors and being, almost, I would say, our cousins. I would like to see how different is influencer marketing from Kenya to Tanzania. Are the issues that we're talking here similar in Kenya, or how is it?
Thank you, Edward. I think if I was to compare, and I'm actually comparing, I like the discussions that is going around, and actually you're in a growing stage, and one thing that I've seen that is similarities to how Kenya's been doing influencing is the fact they've been acting like a community. Passion is one thing that clients are looking at. You can't actually influence everything, but you have to speak from a passion. Then one thing else is, how do you deliver the content? You have to be true to authentic to the brand, speak the same tonality as the brand, and just making sure that you are the brand ambassador at that point of view. And looking from a data point of view, you have to look at how do you integrate micro-influencers, macro-influencers, and just making sure that you grow from a community point of view. So working with good content creators, having the right equipment, passion, and knowing which platform to play with from an age perspective. So if it's your Facebook, what audience sets are there, if it's Twitter, if it's TikTok, if it's Instagram, and now coming into the metaverse, it's a journey that everybody's transitioning into.
Fantastic. There's some amazing keywords that the audience is saying that I like, that is going to help my conversation with my clients, like content production. You can see some of them are already laughing because that is a conversation that we are also having, that content is the space to go. So we are happy that it's in that same direction. So I would also like to know from our panelists, what are some of the best amazing influencer marketing campaigns that you think for this year that you think that did very well?
I'll go first. For me, I would say the flying fish campaign. That one for me was the best because I have not seen something like that being done before here. Maybe I wasn't aware of it, but it was something new and it was very creative. And even as we speak, I have seen so many people drinking the drink compared to like how other drinks that came before were like marketed. You get like, a lot of people are loving it. People tried it just because they saw people posting about it, they saw people talking about it. You see, almost every person that posted it was like, I had to try it, I had to try it, I saw it somewhere, you get. So I then understood that the content that people were posting, without knowing they were influencing, was doing amazing.
Okay. Videographers, I hope you guys got that. Yes. That is our client. We're talking about an additional retainer here. No, she's not paid. All right, thank you, Nikki. I'm happy that that you thought that it was a good campaign. I think for the Denso team, it was one of the asks that TDL came to ask: how do we really launch this product in a market whereby we have other competitors that are already there? How do we, and especially the fact that how clients are, it's a new product, we don't really want to spend a lot of money on it without really knowing what the uptake has been. So thank you very much for highlighting that. Mike?
Not necessarily that I was following up closely, but I think I'll focus on the social things that have happened. That to me was an eye-opener. One, I think the Diamond campaign around not voting for him, it unlocked. Whatever that thing was, I think it was ticked the right buttons, and we acted upon it. And I think if there's a case study, has to be around that. Like, what are the things that made people file that petition? Because there's some other important things don't bother at all. But that's why, for some many reasons, it was personal to people. So maybe that to me could be that campaign of the year.
I think it does. It wasn't a brand campaign per se, but it was. No, I feel like it was a campaign. It was a marketing campaign for the Swahili word would be walikuwa namsagia kunguni. Yeah, and they were pretty good at it, and they were effective because he didn't win. None?
I'm honestly blank. I don't know, there is none that pops in mind at the moment, so I don't think it probably did not have an impact, or it did not stand out locally. Otherwise, I would like to read that up and remember it. But I would like to point out something that I've been seeing on social media at the moment, and the brand is Coca-Cola. I'm not sure what they are launching currently, but almost all the influencers that I'm following globally, be it in the UK, in South Africa, in Tanzania, they're all posting about this campaign at the same time. I guess the strategy was to use micro-influencers, most probably for engagement purposes, considering it is a mass marketing brand and probably already has the following that it would like. But that's all I remember seeing on social media whenever I tune in. It's all these micro-influencers in different parts of Africa and the world posting about Coca-Cola. And as much as I don't remember what the campaign is or what the, probably not a product, probably a campaign, as much as I don't remember the messaging, I still remember that everyone is posting about it. And yeah, that's the only thing that stands out to me at the moment.
Awesome. Ricky? I know you're very active on Twitter, and all the shenanigans that happen on our local social media, you're aware. What has been one of the best campaigns that you think was executed this year?
The campaign that I was just talking about, the Coca-Cola, is the real magic campaign, that means something about real magic moments, but forget about that. When it comes to Tanzania, I don't know much as popped up in my head, but one thing I would praise the Flying Fish campaign for was, for some reason, I felt like it took over the brand voice or the show voice that Budweiser had. I don't know if Budweiser ran out of the budget for them right now. But yeah, the kind of space that Budweiser was occupying was suddenly taken over by Flying the alcohol brand. So that was really interesting to me to see how people sort of moved out of Budweiser to Flying Fish, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. But personally, whenever someone asks me, because this question comes up a lot, and I think that's why like always comes up. But I think that really makes me proud, and it has really impacted some of my friends that I've actually seen it as well, is whatever Nani Sirius is doing or Ose is doing on the social platforms, in terms of marketing, travel spaces in Tanzania, really sticks out to me, and I remember sharing friends, and I've had 5 friends, since I've come to Germany since 2017, I've had 5 friends that really went to Zanzibar just because of the recommendations of the videos that I've shared with them from Dani and from us. So I'll say it's something that sticks out to me from the Tanzanian space in terms of content creation narrative, whatever Dani or us is doing.
Yeah, and I would agree to that. Most of one thing that is unique about Ose is that one, he doesn't put watermarks on his pictures. He believes that you will know the quality of his work. And believe me, you will know the quality of his work when you see it, because it will create FOMO that you'd want to be able to travel. So I quite agree on that. Nada, you mentioned that in selecting, obviously, an influencer, you first start by identifying what your objectives are. So when you're selecting a particular influencer, are there any metrics that you look at? Is there any particular data or information that you look at?
Most definitely his engagement rate. His likes can be what? His comments, how many people have saved his content, how many people have shared his content. I think more on that space. You could have 9,000 followers, but if your engagement is high compared to somebody who has 100,000 followers, clearly shows that you're resonating more or connecting more with your audience than they are.
So, for you, Nikki, what metrics do you look at on improving? Do you focus on engaging with your crowd? What is it that you really focus on to ensure that you're getting at the top when these brands are selecting?
I would say engagement. For me, that is most important, because if you're trying to maybe inform people or influence people to buy something, you want them to talk to you, ask you about it, tell you more, share with you if they have or are planning to use the product. So for me, it's engagement first.
All right. What about you, Mike?
At some point it was very complicated. I think I had a client doing a sanitation campaign, and his metric was, is my campaign in the middle of people's sentence? In people's sentence. And the campaign was run by a job. So it was like, when he sees a post of a woman, then you just write new by the job. It's like, okay, that to me, that's it. You didn't care about the engagement, the reach. I want my campaign name to be part of the conversation, that people talk and refine. Again, call it anything else, but it's there. So it varies from client to client. I think that's what was the weirdest one.
So I think one thing that I've noticed that a lot of clients is virality. It's a question that they ask. Will my content be viral? Will this thing go viral? Virality, because it's awareness. The more people hear about whatever you're doing, the more people are going to be interested in what you're doing. But as today's session has shown, virality just doesn't come out of the air. It's a process. Shalua, you are creative, and I would like to think you're an influencer as well. What's your take on influencer marketing in Tanzania and where we are? Let me simplify it. Do you feel that brands are paying you for your value?
First of all, it was a very interesting conversation, and it was great hearing the different thoughts from the speakers. My thoughts, I feel like it's a learning process, and you can see the change from way before and right now. And I guess the additional part, I think Nanda was talking about engagement and having an objective. So that enables a person to be able to actually track the data from the influences, and that's how you can know if something is either successful or has failed. Because then you would ask the question okay, we used influences and it's failed. But then someone would ask me, okay, why are you saying it failed? Did you set an objective before, or did you just select an influencer because they have a lot of followers? And yeah, so now the people are learning and understanding more, and I feel like it's getting really good. Yeah.
Do you feel that the brands are giving you value?
You really we're waiting for that.
Giving me value.
Like for your work, because you're an influencer, and most of the time, for the benefit of the crowd, you're an influencer. You're an illustrator, an amazing illustrator, and you've done amazing illustrations that have gone on billboards, on t-shirts, and most of these clients usually use you. Do you feel that they give you the value compared to what you're offering them? Let me just add, yeah?
The amount of money you get could go up from your answer, or it could stay the same.
I feel like there are sacrifices you make at the moment because you want, because people don't understand and they're trying, so you want to sacrifice a bit on that end, and so that they can at least see the results, and especially if you have something that is impactful and you're able to track and show this helped either gain followers or increased sales, increased conversations about the brand itself. So it helps you now leverage that for now in the future. You can actually tell them the actual value that you should be getting for the content that you make for them. So right now we're making sacrifices for the growth of the industry.
Dear brands, pay your influencers. All right, we're going to have 3-4 last questions. Do we have any questions from the attendees online? Any? All right. None from online, but we have a question from Salma.
Good evening. So my question is for Nada and Nico. And also, I have questions for all of you guys. So I'll start, this question is common for all you guys to actually give me a response. Last year we went through, or we're still going through a pandemic. It's been disruptive, but at the same time, I want to understand when it came to the landscape of influencers and whatnot, in terms of online presence, in terms of online marketing, how did it affect each one's industry? So maybe in terms of you, Toyota, how did pandemic disrupt when it comes to marketing, when it comes to how you engage with your consumers? Was it the time whereby you increased using influencers, or in terms of just digital research, in terms of how you could reach your consumers, or did you struggle? It's only now that you actually caught on to how you engage with the consumers online?
So, from business perspective, transparently, our budgets were slashed. No marketing at the moment. Let's assess the market. Let's see how it's gonna go. Surprisingly, though, for Toyota itself, it was a very successful year despite the pandemic and despite very limited marketing. But towards the end of the year, after we've assessed the market and the space, then we started more on digital marketing. We did use influencers, but very limited influencers. We partnered with Eskimi that year. That was mostly our trial and error phase. So we were still trying to figure it out. Some things were a hit, some things were a miss. But yeah, it was more of a trial and error space, and digital marketing was optimized more from our end, despite the budget slash.